Welcome to the Spartan Up Podcast. I'm Kevin Paulus, Jackson Bast, and McKaylee Effin here once again. And let's jump right into it. As far as athletics is concerned, women's volleyball, their season ends at the national tournament. They did well in their opening game against Mobile, winning 3-0. But then the number 5 team in the country, Corbin, knocks them out in a 3-0 loss that happened early, I would say early on Friday morning. And Jackson, you were there for the whole trip, so tell us a little bit about women's volleyball.
No, it was a fun trip. You know, they started out hot against that Mobile squad. Gabby had 23 kills. She hit 375. Alana had 12 kills. Val had 42 assists. You'd think it was a complete game, but I don't know what it was. Something just kind of felt off. You know, they didn't necessarily felt the chemistry was nearly as there as we've seen in a lot of other matches. I think that became really prominent in that Corbin match, unfortunately. And Corbin's good. Corbin was so big. I think the average size of anybody on the court outside of the doorbell was probably 6 foot. Like they were some massive girls. But I was really curious. Gabby ends up finishing with 1771 on kills all time, making the record just a little bit more untouchable for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So a great season for women's volleyball, 31-6. They went into the tournament ranked as number 12, I think, in the country. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll probably hold about there because they basically, when they got knocked out, there were still, I believe, like 17 or 18 teams left because it was early in the day, and then it got down to 8 by the end of the day. So, season ends at 31-6 for women's volleyball. Let's talk basketball now, and the men, McKaylee, suffer their first loss of the season at Graceland. That came after an 87-80 win over Mission here at home, and then they go on the road, lose by 13, now 9-1, 4-1 in the Heart of America Conference.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that game on Saturday was going to be a tough one for sure. We were thinking Mission was going to be a tough one-ish, but Javaris Moy, he was able to have a record-breaking day for himself. He had 8 steals that game, 30 points. And 5 rebounds. Yep, 5 rebounds. Austin Lewis also performing well. Marquise Lewis also performing well. So overall, they thought they were going to, bring the heat into that game on Saturday, but it was pretty much 50-50 the entire game until the end. They were able to take the win.
Yeah, exactly. That game, it was a 2-3 point game throughout much of the final 10 minutes before I think Graceland started to pull away with about 5 minutes left, and they end up winning by 13. So, first loss of the season, 9-1 on the year, 4-1 in the Heart of America. And it was just announced today that Javaris is actually the defensive player of the week in the conference as well. He just continued. He set a school record, you mentioned, in that Mission game with 8 steals, most ever in a game for someone at MBU. So congratulations to him. Men are going to be back in action on Saturday at 2:00 against Benedictine. Let's talk about the women's side. They get a win in their only game of the week, and that came over Graceland on Saturday. The final 57-55, but that one wasn't close for a long time, and then they get Riley Jansen a couple of free throws with 2 seconds left to go in the game, and they win 57-55. Not the smoothest path to it, but a good road win for the women.
Yeah, I mean, they were up by, what was it, you think? I think it was like 13, even 20 maybe. They were up by a lot, so I definitely thought that the end score was going to be a little higher for us, but at the end of the day, we got to win. Something that was impressive was Rebecca Fraley. She came off the bench, only played 19 minutes, still had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. So overall, I think they're doing pretty well and hopefully up from here.
Yeah, and had a chance to visit with Taylor Jacobson for the coaches show as well. So we talk a lot more about that if you want to tune in for that. And wrestling. Men's wrestling travels to Doane University, the Connor Oppenheimer Open. That's hard to say. Pretty good results for some there in Nebraska.
Yeah, no, it was a good weekend for them. Obviously, Brendan Rail, the freshman, kind of start out for them. He finished fourth, and he actually only finished fourth because he had a no contest in his third place bout at 141 pounds in the amateur division. And you had a couple guys there do pretty well. And then in the open division, we had a couple injuries, so we ended up saying some of the guys you want to do that early in the year so they don't get too hurt, too banged up. But of course, Brandon Bollinger, Jeremiah Drake. Both made the consolation semifinals. Both of them actually made the semifinals, dropped a match, and then unfortunately dropped their second match. They just fell short of making the podium. Braden Ackerman was another one. He made the quarters. He dropped the match, and then Ahmad Sufi was kind of battling on the backside. He actually had a really close match. I remember watching it kind of live, not with video, but I'm watching the track stream, and it's really close. He ends up losing a tight one to an opponent he's actually kind of bridged the gap on over the time. And then on the women's side, they only competed once, and they faced McKendree, the second-ranked team of the NCAA. Did not come away with a win, unfortunately. The closest bout coming at 207 from Logan Sumner, who lost 3-0.
So let's talk men going forward. Big weekend for them. They head to Davenport, Iowa for the conference duels, where they're going to take on receiving votes Benedictine. Then they duel number one in the country, Grandview, and then they take on receiving votes William Penn. So really going to get tested. The number 20 team in the country, your Missouri Baptist Spartans, but it's never fun when you take on the number one team in the country at a time when they want to make a statement in these duels this weekend that, the conference still goes through them. So it's going to be interesting for wrestling this weekend.
No, and they're going to need to all have the luxury of getting to travel with them this weekend. So they're going to need to produce some wins. I think they're going to very, very ably handle Benedictine and William Penn on the team score. I actually, when I was in college, I wrestled against Grandview. I got embarrassed wrestling it was like their third string heavyweight, but the next year he wrestled and got fifth in the country. So it's a very deep place. They're probably not going to say their starters, but every person that you wrestle at Grandview is going to give you a match. So I'm excited to see how many of them are going to be willing to step up to the challenge, especially with the Grandview that is under new leadership.
Yeah, and new leadership, and you talked about they're so deep, 60 guys on the roster, and their second and third string guy is better than a lot of people's first string, and so it's going to be tough. It would be nice to see the guys successful against Benedictine and William Penn, and then you come out of that maybe 2 wins and a loss or whatever. Not that we can't beat number one, but things are really going to have to break your way if that was to happen. The only other thing that happened, as far as I know, in sports is men's and women's track, and we're going to have a chance to talk with Proleine Williams in just a couple of minutes. She is the head coach of men's and women's track here at Missouri Baptist. So anything else that I forgot? Nothing?
I don't think so, Kevin.
All right, wrap that up then. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk it over with Proleine. You're listening to the Spartan Up Podcast. Welcome back to the Spartan Up Podcast with Jackson and McKaylee. I'm Kevin, and we're now joined by Proleine Williams, the head men's and women's track coach here at Missouri Baptist. Proleine, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, this is going to be kind of you can take this question any direction that you want to, but, obviously you just hired back in June, first-year head coach. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you, in your case, back to Missouri Baptist.
All right. Well, I ran track and field for 17 years, so track and field has been around for a pretty long time for me. When I transferred into MBU just felt like home away from home. If you can't tell by my accent, I'm from the Bahamas. And it was just home. It was just home away from home for me. And the experience that I had here was great. I had great teammates here. I met my husband here on this track team too. So this program has been very special to me. I had great coaches, and they just had a great impact in my life when I was here. And that's what drew me back here to MBU.
Let's back up for a second. How do you get from the Bahamas to Missouri Baptist? How does it happen?
coach reached out.
Grace of
here
God,
I
of
am.
course. But yeah.
And the Lord led me here.
Absolutely. You were here from 2019 to 2022, and not only, running track and being successful on the track, but you were also involved with student life as well. Talk a little bit about that. Resident director and, worked for coordinator of student life as a GA, of course, but talk about that experience too.
It was a great experience. I think the big thing for me is I love to serve. And whatever it was, I was here. I was always hands down, whether it was in athletics, housing, admissions. I worked there for a little too. I just got that opportunity to impact lives, and I've had people that impacted mine, and I wanted to do the same wherever field or whatever department I was in.
So, you did the spiritual life and you said you love to serve. What made you realize that you wanted to get into coaching?
The sport itself, and also coaches that I have. They've made a great impact on my life, and I felt like I just had a calling to coach. Track and field has been around, and I love the sport. I'm very passionate about it, and I just wanted to give back to the future generation that was coming up behind me.
Yeah, and so what are some values that you learned within your time at MBU that you are now influencing your athletes with?
I would say the passion. I would say passion is the big thing. And for you to be successful about a sport, especially in coaching, the passionate and the drive behind it to impact lives and make athletes better is one of the biggest values that I carry with me throughout the sport and also on the coaching side of things.
So it's been I'm not going to speak for you, but I think I can on this particular front. It's been challenging, coming in from a let's say from a athlete number of student athletes, your roster that you have and all that stuff, especially getting hired in June, which is relatively late, obviously in the athletic year or whatever. So just talk about how you've gone about building your roster and really, and in this case, rebuilding your roster here at Missouri Baptist.
Yeah, of course. The big thing for me right now and with the program right now is maintaining what we have. There's not much I can do in a little span of getting hired on in terms of bringing in my own class in terms of recruiting. So right now for this year, for the program, we're just using what we have and making the athletes that we have better. And then our big goal is for next year to bring in a big recruiting class and fill in the numbers, because right now we are struggling in terms of depth. We're not in depth on the women's side, and our goal is to fill in those numbers for next year and just maintain with what we have and go out and compete, especially in the heart of America, this new conference that we're heading into.
Speaking of challenges, and maybe this is, I would say it's probably a work in progress. Again, I don't want to answer for you, but, every new coach that comes in wants to establish a certain culture, and you want to put your stamp on the program. Talk about where you are in that process right now as far as, having the type of program and the type of culture that you want to have.
Right now, culture for us is great. When I first got hired on our first team meeting, a big word that I threw out to the team was family. We're a team that's going to struggle together. We're going to succeed together. And they've took that in, and they've been doing a lot of things on their own just by me throwing out the word family, and the culture has been great. We are a big one family that stick together in terms of our trainings, and also going out and competing. I want when we go out as a program, people want to be a part of the culture that we're building here, and we all stick together. We lean on each other, and that's how we'll be successful this year as we're maintaining the program. So culture is great, and we're looking to add on to that culture heading into next year.
And not only do you serve as the head men's and women's track and field coach, but you also serve as the assistant cross-country coach for both the men's and women's squads. How did getting here and then getting to kind of have that like season where you're not having to be forced into being the head coach right away, but you have this little bit of transitional time where you're working with some of your athletes while they're competing and then some of them who are getting ready for the indoor and outdoor season?
It's been great. And a big, huge help I have right now is Coach Jerry. He's been great. And also I had Coach Jerry as a coach here, my last year at MBU. And it's just been great to learn from him. He's more of sort of like a mentor, and guiding me throughout the entire process. And all of that is from the relationship that we have is just stemming down to our program and also on the cross country. And they're all seeing what's happening on the track side, and we're all just sticking together and super excited just heading into this year, incoming track season with cross country moving over with us.
And how do you approach a team culture whenever it's like individual sports competing? I know that for lacrosse it was easy because we're all one team, and if one person messes up, then we all have each other's backs, right? Because we're able to help each other. But how do you do that in an individual sport?
That's a really good question. It's really hard because it's a lot of holes that we have to fill. Track and field is really, really big. It all happens at practice. In terms of training, we all train together as a team, but when we go out there, it's an individual sport. So we try to bring that culture in trainings, so then when we go out to compete, we know what we're looking forward to and going out and competing.
So we've talked about culture and team building and things like that. Let's actually talk about the team a little bit. Who are those athletes that are really, leading the effort right now? Who are those athletes that we should be talking about because they're doing great things? Even, I know you guys had your first indoor meet over the weekend, but tell us about the team. Who are those that are kind of standing out early?
All right. We got a really special group this year. We are freshman heavy than returners. Our returners have been stepping up. This past weekend, we had Jordan Walker-Wright and Colin that did the throws this past weekend and took second and third in the way throw. And then we also had another upcoming freshman too, Caleb, that just moved over from track move over from football. He's also all-state thrower too in the throws, and he took second place in the throws event this past weekend. Also on the men's side, we have Brett Dreyer. That's an all-state jumper in the triple and long jump, and he went out this past weekend and won the long jump, and also went out in the 60 and competed in the short sprints, and also covered the 4x4 and filled in this past weekend. On the women's side, we have Carly Rusin. That's also an all-state hurdler and jumper that we're looking forward to seeing what she do this upcoming season. We also have Brooke, which is another all-state long jumper champion that didn't compete this past weekend, but we're looking forward to having her this upcoming season. So we have a special group this season, and we're looking forward to it.
So whenever you were doing track back in your day, what was your favorite event to do?
The 60.
I was going to say, that's short of success.
Short and done. The 60 and the 200 was really my main events, and they were my favorite ones too.
I think that's Jackson's favorite too. That's what he was telling me.
Would be what?
The 60.
Mm. I think the 0 would be my share.
That's all right, me too. I don't even think. I mean, one lap is 400, right?
Yes.
For indoor is 2 laps, but for outdoor is 1.
Ooh, indoor would be hard on the hips, I feel like.
Yeah, and also the air quality in there too is not great. Yeah, no, just competing inside, but it is harder indoor. Outdoor, you have some more leniency in terms of competition, whereas indoors more fast-paced and repetitive with the events.
So I have a question about that as far as like that, and I've always wondered about this, and since you're here and you can answer this for us, that'd be great. But you're running 60 meters. That's the race. How do you train for that? Is it just run a lot of 60s, or how do you cross train to be better at the 60 meter? Because it's more than just running. Obviously.
Sprinting is very technical. In order for you to be an effective sprinter, you have to nail the proper running mechanics. It all starts with the drive phase, which is the first part of the race. You have to get out hard. You have to use the starting blocks, and also the transition phase, because it is quick, fast-paced race. So you need to know how long you need to drive for and when you need to accelerate and turn into top max velocity speed. So it's all about working on the different phases of the race, and also doing a lot of race modeling is what we've been doing on the sprint side of things.
Yeah, so kind of from what you've had with the people who are in the cross country, and those people are like kind of in the wings right now, getting ready for the season. Like, how are they kind of getting ready for what's coming up next in the second half of the indoor season?
So their training looks different. Our distance group are more with Coach Jerry, but they've started on the track now. So they came out on the track, started last week, and doing those repetitive mile workouts and track workouts. Because cross country, they just go out and run all the time. But now they're actually getting their track workouts in to get ready and gear up for the upcoming indoor and outdoor season.
So when I was in high school, I knew a ton of people that did like multi-sports, and like they would always pair it with track. Do you think that there's like any other sports in the world where like you could easily transition into a track athlete?
Football is one, but you have to be, it's usually the receivers, the fast-paced events. Those athletes usually transition over to track and field. Also, a lot of our jumpers are basketball players because of the jumps and vertical jumps and the power that comes with that. But those are the two main sports where we have athletes move over. Wrestling is another one, but that's for throwers on that strength side of
Yeah, that makes sense. Would you do any other sports?
I would.
Which ones would you do?
Volleyball.
Really?
That seems fun. Volleyball seems fun.
So I'm probably not going to tell this story correctly, but you get your job in June, and Jerry McGuire, who is our cross country coach, McGuire. I knew I was going to mess it up. Lightning McQueen, but he kind of takes you under his wing a little. I really messed that up, by the way. That's embarrassing. Kind of takes you under his wing. There's some summer running events and things like that. And he said that he was at this event with you, and you just saw a group of high school kids, and you're like, I'm gonna go talk to them, and you just walked down to the track and started handing out your business cards that you had just gotten. And I tell that story because I think that's one of the things that we appreciate about you is your personality. You're very, easy to get along with, but that takes some guts. Talk a little bit about that, just to, see a bunch of kids and be like, hey, I'm going to go talk to them.
Yeah, we and Coach Jerry, we went out to the state championship in Jeff City to recruit. And because the time when I got hired, my big focus at the time was I need to get some numbers in before we start, just to fill in, especially the women's side, which is our very weak link right now. So I saw it was Festus High School team tent, and I knew they a powerhouse for the women's for track, and the girls was just sitting under their tent, and I told Coach Jerry, I'll be back. I'm going to recruit. And I just walked up to the tent and I said, hey girls, and I introduced myself. And I asked them, are you guys interested in running at the collegiate level? And they're looking at me. They're looking at each other. And they said, yeah. And I just took my phone out and I had some cards. And I said, hey, I need y'all. Actually, I opened the notes app on my phone because I wanted a quick contact with them, because I thought if I just give them the card, they won't reach out. So I passed my phone around to each of them and I said, put your names and number in here and I'll contact them, because I just wanted to recruit and I needed girls. But it was exciting because I am back again to the passion for the sport. I love the sport and I want to see this program successful. And I think the big thing for us is building. And I wanted to start building early and getting kids on. So that's why I did that.
Absolutely. It's a great story. Jerry was telling me that, and I was like, that's awesome. So, well, we do appreciate the time, Proleine. We always finish up these interviews with the same question that we ask every coach that comes in here, and that is, if you were not in coaching, what would you be doing right now? If it wasn't, if you were not the head coach here at track and field at Missouri Baptist, and weren't coaching track at all, what would you be doing with your life?
Playing volleyball. Probably a PE teacher somewhere.
Okay.
Out of middle school.
Okay. Why?
I love athletics. Back to the passion for sports in general, and also impacting lives. That's the big thing for me, and making an impact. I want to leave a legacy behind, and I want to be left behind and someone know something about me. So that's what feel I would have been feel.
And why middle school? I guess why not high school or Why specific to middle school, you think?
I think at middle school, the students have more of a drive then and want to do stuff, whereas high school, it would be harder to get kids to do stuff. But middle school, I did student observations there, and all the kids just wanted to do everything. So that's the field that I would have been in.
Awesome. Well, we do appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
That is Proleine Williams. She is the men's and women's head track coach here at Missouri Baptist. And we're going to take a break, and we'll come back on the Spartan Up Podcast. We're back to wrap it up on the Spartan Up Podcast. We appreciate you being with us here on this particular edition, and we will end it the same way we always do. McKaylee, let's have you go first. What are you most excited about as far as Missouri Baptist athletics this week?
I am excited for the calm of the storm this week because we finally have a week off. Well, at least I pretty much do.
No home events.
Yeah, no home events. So I'm excited for that calm, but so excited for the storm coming in the spring.
Yeah.
But basketball playing, Benedictine, and what did you just say? Wrestling also?
Wrestling's got a one this weekend.
And you guys know I have a little bit of bad blood with Benny.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Hopefully we can get a win all around.
Take care of that. Yeah. So, and Jackson, it's a no-brainer for you. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm excited to hit the road to Iowa once again.
You just made back from Sioux City, and now you're going to Davenport this weekend.
Trying to go other side of the state. I tried to do that, actually, when I went to Men's and Women's Wrestling Nationals last year. I was like, just let me spend the 3 days in Wichita. You could just tag me back in. But now I'm excited to go see them. I'm excited to see them compete. I didn't get the luxury of traveling with them until Nationals last year. So, we had a dead week. So I'm going to get to go up with them here on Friday, Saturday, quick little turnaround. And then I go home.
Nice.
So it'll be nice.
Nice. Yeah.
What about you, Kev?
As far as, you talk about the calm before the storm. It's so calm. There's not a lot of other events going on. So you took wrestling and you took, a little bit of time off. So I'm going to take basketball because that's really the only thing happening. Benedictine, the matchups noon for the women and 2:00 for the men. So that is what's going on this weekend. Hopefully the men in particular can get back in the win column. They're still right there, one game behind now Graceland for the top of the conference. So it'd be good to see them take care of business at Benedictine on the women's side too. But, obviously when you're 9-1, 4-1 in the conference and you're sitting right there at the top, you want to stay there. So that is what I am most excited about as far as MBU athletics, but I understand, McKaylee, you're most excited. We kind of talked about this last week about the McRib. You had a McRib story.
I was wondering if we were ever going to bring that up.
I just did. So,
What
all
do you
you.
want me to talk about? Okay, guys, I don't eat the McRib, but Jackson, if you guys didn't know, he's a 2-time All-American for fastest McRib eating contest. Look it up. It's on Google. It's okay. We'll have a McRib show coming shortly. Comment McRib if you are still listening.
Anything, Jackson? You good?
Still not.
Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap it up then. Thank you guys a lot. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everyone to tune in to the Spartan Up Podcast. We appreciate everyone being with us this week. For Jackson and McKaylee, I'm Kevin, and we'll talk to you next week on the Spartan Up Podcast.
McRib.